had a lot of threats, haven't you, personally? I mean, tell us a little bit about that, and also what you've been doing to protect women journalists, particularly, who are getting more and more threatened.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's always a bit uncomfortable. It's like you hear that phrase about the journalist not wanting to become the story, but similarly, you know, the lawyer is secondary. So the people I really admire are my clients, and particularly in relation to female journalists. For many years, I've worked on issues to do with female journalists facing misogynistic, sexist, often racist attacks also when you're dealing with women of colour online and in the real world. And many of my clients have experienced that, including Daphne Caruana Galizia, so the journalist who was assassinated in Malta, and also Maria Ressa, who we heard from, who receives multiple threats online. And I'm now the victim of that myself, but I suppose what's happened over the last number of years is it's not a surprise that lawyers get targeted in a secondary way when you're dealing with these sensitive cases. So being subjected to spyware or surveillance or hacking attempts, for example, because it's all designed to get information about your clients. So for many years I've had that, not a surprise, you know, working on cases involving Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran, that goes with the territory. And I've had some very frightening experiences over the years, you know, including being detained in a Middle Eastern country, having a series of threats. But what's really changed in the last couple of years is working against China. And what I've experienced in relation to China is terrifying, frankly, and it's why...
What are they doing?
So it's a few different things. So because I work on this case for Jimmy Lai, I've been declared an enemy of the state in state media, China and Hong Kong. It's been made clear that simply because I represent Jimmy Lai internationally and I've brought cases to the United Nations, the Hong Kong authorities consider me to be a criminal. That's the new Hong Kong. Bringing a human rights case to the United Nations equals collusion with foreign forces in their new environment. So obviously threats to prosecute me makes for very complicated travel arrangements, because I, of course, can't travel to China and Hong Kong, but I also can't travel to any country which either has an extradition treaty with them or which has a history of kidnap attempts. So rules out flying through Dubai, for example, rules out flying to a whole range of countries worldwide.
You could be rendition by that.
Absolutely. So we have to guard against that. But the other thing which is probably worth saying is I've had some very serious attempts to hack my accounts, and also death threats, rape threats, dismemberment threats. It's my daughter's 16th birthday this week. I've had some extremely graphic, revolting threats about my daughter. And of course, when you receive that, you know about it, because of course it's happened to my clients for many years. It's very frightening when it happens. And often when you receive the online threats, which are serious and are being taken seriously by law enforcement officials, when you receive them, you often receive them when you're on your own, or it's 5 in the morning, for example. I often receive them when I'm traveling for work, and they make clear they know where I'm traveling to, they know what hotel I'm staying in, and it's frightening. But the main thing which it does for me is, to be honest, it makes me more determined to do my job. I think it shows we're rattling the right cages. And if they're this determined to target me because of my work for my clients, think about my clients. So it makes me more resolute that I need to do all I can, and I'm not letting them frighten me off.